if someone was just starting out and they don't have their first client yet, what do you think is the best and fastest way for them to get their first ArchViz clients?
They only care about one thing. What should I give you? What am I going to get from you?
Where do you think AI is taking the ArchViz industry?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scale Podcast. Today, I have a very special guest for you, someone who you might not expect,
With a very, very special niche, but which will help you guide a lot in your ArchViz journey. Today with me is Anis, who is a business coach for all ArchViz artists. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Melos, for the invite. It's my pleasure to be on your podcast.
Awesome. So, probably for a lot of people, it's the first time hearing someone be introduced as an ArchViz artist, a business consultant. Can you guide us a little bit on how you got started and what's your whole journey on this, I guess, your business venture?
Yeah, of course. Sure. So to start, my first paid job as a 3D artist was 2003. I was studying architecture at that time, and I did some work for the client of my teacher. And gradually, I noticed that in ArchViz, you get quicker and better money than being an architect.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the truth. Yeah. Of course, there are many architects that are doing great now, but like for me at that time, I said, look, in 1 month you can get 2, 3 projects, you can get paid, amazing. In architecture or as an architect, it takes time. And so initially I was charging low as usual, sometimes working for free. I like doing 3D work, but like I wasn't aware of the business side until one event happened that has nothing to do with business and nothing to do with ArchViz. So I was a master student in China. And by the way, I come from Syria. And at that time, I was in Syria.
We're going to get back with later on, just so.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, so as a master student, I was doing like a workshop, like an international workshop in China, in Shanghai. And we were like somehow 8 countries. And I was doing the work like an architect and a 3D visualizer, a landscaper, doing almost everything. One French girl came to me and she said, do you have time today to go out? I told her, sorry, I need to finish the work. And she said, yeah, okay, in case you had time, just let me know. And I said, yes. And that's it. And we had a Lebanese team, Lebanon and Syria, they are neighbors. And the Lebanese girl, she came and she said, Anis, do you have a wife? And she said, no. Do you have a girlfriend? I said, also no. And she said, that French girl is very pretty. Why you said that to her? You should go out with her. And I told her, well, you know what? First of all, I have a lot of work to do. I need to finish. Secondly, if I go out with her, I don't know what to say. I'm completely honest. Okay, she's a French, she's talking English. I am also talking English, but I'm not that confident, you see. So she said, okay, you are just an idiot. And I said, yeah, I accept it, but like, I don't know what to do, really. And after that, like almost 1 month after that, I just kept blaming myself for why I did not take, why I wasn't really that motivated to say yes and go out, whatever happens. Like a couple of months, we came back to Syria and we were invited to introduce what we did in Lebanon. And when we went there, the Lebanese girl, she saw me and she said, I'm going to help you in your problem. There is a book, you should read it. And I said, yeah, why not? Amazing. And she gave me the book. And the book is called The Rules of the Game. This is exactly the book. I keep it, okay, with me all the time. Okay, maybe you see that the story is irrelevant, but like I will come to the moral of the story. The book is 30 days like action plan. Every day you wake up, you need to read like 2, 3 pages Those were like mindset blocks. Every guy have them, and you need to break them. And he has some trainings. You need to do the training in order to get and in order to be free from those mind blocks. It does not happen quickly, but you need to do them daily. And I remember like the third day, fourth day, I don't remember exactly. There was a training. You need to get 3 names of the latest movies that someone has watched. How would you get them? You need to call them. You need to pick up your phone, dial any number, and you need to ask for the latest 3 movies they have watched. And in the beginning, I said, no way. My friend, you are talking in the US, I am in Syria. It happens in the US, but like it does not happen in Syria.
Mhm.
And like exactly how those mind blocks were coming up, he was writing. And don't think that in case you are in a different part
Okay.
of the world, you are not going to be able to do it. You should do it. And it was 11 o'clock. So he had a script how you should do it, and I did it. And you would really be amazed how long people would like to talk, even with a stranger, in case you ask them the right question or you get to talk with them in the right way. I did it multiple times. I got a lot of names of movies. I continued to do the trainings, and also one of the trainings was how to talk to a girl you like, even if she is with her mother in the street. And that was exactly networking.
Yeah.
And I was lucky. I used all the trips to get more work. I did not get any girl. I haven't had any time to get any girl. Like after maybe 5, 6 years, I got my wife now, and that's it. So that's the beginning of my, I would say, sales skills.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's very interesting. But like the real question is, how did that transition into ArchViz?
Yeah, so I was at that time I recognized that I need to do only 3D visualization. I mean, at that time there was nothing called ArchViz in the name,
Mhm.
while it's now well known with it.
Okay.
I was just a 3D artist, an architect who was doing 3D art,
Okay.
and I noticed that this is a lucrative niche for me. And before reading the book, I was charging $300 per image.
Okay.
And in Syria, it was too much. But like I knew that my clients are getting way too much value than what they are paying to me. So after reading that book, I started looking into business consulting or business development. What is business development? And you could find some books, but like it's very hard to read all those books and understand them and apply them. So it was somehow a wild journey into getting into business development. And I started getting more jobs for 3D work, getting more jobs for me, for my friends, my office. I had an office, a studio at that time. And gradually the war happened in Syria, and I was forced to go out. So I went out to Lebanon and I applied the same strategies, and I got really amazing work. I got the money, the work, the money, the reputation. Then I moved to Germany because I had some financial power to move.
Okay.
And I applied the same strategies in Germany, and that's what I do, and I keep helping my clients doing until today.
Well, my question is, right, I get this question all the time, and I'm sure you probably gotten it a few times, and I want to ask you as well. Since I
Mhm.
create a lot of content about ArchViz, I also do some content on how ArchViz artists can get clients and all that.
Mhm.
A lot of people ask me, if you're so successful in ArchViz, why do you waste time trying to teach others? And
Yeah.
I know the answer for myself, but how would you typically answer this question to anyone else who might be wondering this? Because to be honest, it
Yeah.
is a fair statement, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I get the same question. And
Mhm.
like, I don't make public interviews or talk to, I don't have even now a YouTube channel. I will have later, hopefully. But like, when I meet the clients or new potential clients and new potential ArchViz studios, so they ask me, if you can do it, why don't you do it for yourself, for
Mm-hmm.
example? The answer is simple. I don't like doing ArchViz anymore. I really don't like it. Negative side about ArchViz, you sit alone for a long time. And this time is literally wasted all within the thoughts in your head. I mean, you will like consume a lot of content online and you will process them in the background while doing what you are doing,
Mm-hmm.
constantly looking for something new, constantly looking for the latest graphic card, constantly looking for what this studio has made, what that studio has made. And this is somehow, I mean, it was difficult for me to maintain a passion for art. This like for now, I transitioned. I mean, I still like making images, but like I do it through photography, not through ArchViz.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to do something that I am good at and still in the same domain.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
was my transition.
That's very fair. Well, to be honest, I see your point. However, my answer is usually a bit different. Uh, I myself cannot say that I enjoy doing ArcViz as well, because I just, after sometimes it gets a bit boring, especially if you're using the same software over and over again, like I do. However, the thing is, I enjoy doing the business side of ArcViz, as in, like, ArcViz is a very good resource to have more financial stability for me as of now. So I automated a lot of that, and now I want to give value through education. And as a law of reciprocity, universe reciprocity, I am able to also get another source of income through helping other people with ArcViz. So that's kind of my view in this. However, one thing that I want to ask you as well is, if someone was just starting out and they don't have their first client yet, what do you think is the best and fastest way for them to get their first ArcViz clients? Do you recommend outreach? Do you recommend content creation? What kind of methods do you recommend?
Yeah. So to answer your question quickly, there is always a quick answer and a long answer. So the quick answer is make more conversations. So the idea is, if you don't know how to start a conversation with people, 100% you don't have clients. In case you are a little bit eager to know more about people or our potential clients, all you need is to start conversations. I know content creation is great. Content creation plus conversations, it's like a great combination. But like also when I say content creation, you need to know what to write. I mean, how to present yourself, what ideas you need to write about. Is it about you, about the client? Is it just the image? Like for example, in our industry, they just post the image. They say made by 3D Max, post production by Photoshop. Hope you like it. Well, if I don't like it, what do I do? There is no dislike in LinkedIn or different platform.
Yeah.
So this is somehow the conversation side is hugely important. And the more you talk to people, the more you start a conversation, the more you will notice what is the problem in your communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, like, client acquisition is simple. The more people you talk to, the more clients you will get. It's that simple.
Yeah.
But like when you grow, you cannot do it the same way because you have a reputation. There is something called a brand image, or you cannot appear someone who is needy. I need a work now, you see. So it needs more a balance, you see.
Yeah, I totally get it. And like I want to talk a little bit about LinkedIn, because I think it's one of the most underestimated platforms, especially for services which are B2B, in this case, ArchViz, because ArchViz as a service is usually offered to a business, to architecture, interior design, real estate developers, furniture manufacturers, etc., etc., etc. How did you actually choose to go for content creation in your LinkedIn? Because as of now, what I'm aware of, that's your main platform where you create and where you post your value, right?
That's true. Also, choosing the platform was not easy for me. Like,
Mhm.
I know that most ArchViz artists are on Instagram. Some of them, they still like Facebook. I do like Facebook and Instagram as a user, not as a producer. The
Well,
idea is I needed a platform where I can share my thoughts and I can like create conversations freely. At the moment, conversations on Facebook, it's not easy like on LinkedIn. This is one. Two, LinkedIn is somehow, it's clear. It is business to business, you see? And Milos, this is one important point you have highlighted, which is we are doing B2B, business to business service, which many of ArchViz artists have not realized yet because they think of themselves, they are freelancers, and they think of the other side, a client, as a person. It is true, it is a person. Like they are also people, but like they are also running business. So it is important to recognize, I mean, acknowledge yourself as a business talking to other business. I mean,
it,
not as a person talking to a business.
yeah,
So it's a
I
good
think
point.
I think that's very important. But I always recommend to people to choose LinkedIn for ArchViz. Right now, I'm doing a lot of freelancing content overall, but what I recommend is a lot of the time go for LinkedIn, and I always suggest to ArchViz artists to also choose a platform which is a bit more visual based, because at the end of the day, ArchViz is more of a visual based skills, and
Absolutely.
in those aspects, I think Instagram, YouTube, TikTok as well. A lot of people underestimate TikTok. They think it's just for 15-year-olds dancing, but honestly, there's a lot of people that spend a lot of time on TikTok. However, the power with LinkedIn is that I think there's not as much people who go on LinkedIn for entertainment and just scrolling mindlessly. So the viewers and the audience that you create on LinkedIn most of the time are people who are ready to invest and who are looking to improve themselves in some kind of way, or even the business. And that's where I found the power of LinkedIn as a platform, especially for ArchViz. What
100% correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So uh, you'd say that LinkedIn is where most ArchViz artists. That's the platform that favors most ArchViz artists as of now.
I don't think a lot of artists are on LinkedIn until now. I mean, I think many of them, they hear about it, they go
Mhm.
make an account or start posting, they get bored, they don't get clients, and that's it. But like, I would like to just in like contribute the idea to your idea about LinkedIn. On Facebook or Instagram, you won't really see if a company is growing. You won't really see if a studio is looking for a 3D artist, or if a studio is like for example, if a studio is looking for a 3D artist as an employee, it has only one meaning. There is a need. There is a huge need. And here it makes sense, for example, to offer them something as, for example, a subscription based, or maybe you have an employee with advantages of being a freelancer. Like you can make a combination, and this is like just a wasted opportunity. You see, like you see a lot of posts online. We need a 3D artist. We need someone, and yeah, those opportunities, you won't see them on Instagram or Facebook or even TikTok, for example. But TikTok is also a potential, has a potential.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I want to segue into something which is related to technology and platforms in general, and I think is a very, very interesting conversation. I'm going to cut to the chase. Where do you think AI is taking the ArchViz industry?
AI. I think AI is a great help for us. I don't see it. I don't see any negative side for it. So, so I will share with you what I do with my clients regarding AI. Anyone who is listening, they can take this way and apply it. And I am sure if they apply it, they will get tons of clients. So AI until today, until like the beginning of 2024, it is mainly for generating ideas or
Hmm.
making more variations of the same idea. If you are using Stable Diffusion, you can have like the outline of the building with the windows, everything, and levels, stores, and you can generate more ideas about materials, form, um, lighting, surrounding, all of that. Our clients, I mean, if you are talking about architects, interior designers, or even developers, they don't really have the time to invest into this technology. Some of them they have the time, but like people who are busy, they don't have the time, and they need someone like you who is able to help them with it. And in case you can offer it for them for free or even for reduced fees, you are generating a lot of options for them to explore and to get more ideas about maybe an initial prompt they have in their mind, and you can transform these thoughts. I mean, the architect is going to say things in their own way. They don't know if this is a good prompt or not, but like you are the expert, you are the 3D artist. If
Whatever.
you know how to generate more ideas out of this one sentence for the architect or a new designer or the developer, you will get them in the early phase of the project, which means you are securing the project in the pipeline.
Okay.
That's everything we need. Instead of waiting until they get to you in the end phase, you are getting a foot in the door in the early phase.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. And I think as of now, the opportunities are everywhere for ArchViz artists to take advantage of the technology that is right now because it's not mainstream yet. A lot of people don't know
Yeah.
about it. It's very cheap in terms of like subscriptions. They're not too expensive or anything like that. However, my main concern, I would guess, is that I
No.
think a lot of architecture studios are going to be able to integrate 3D rendering into their studios a lot more easily rather than having to outsource it to other agencies. For example, I'm not sure if you've seen, I think just past month, SketchUp introduced an AI tool
Yeah.
where you can automatically do renders inside it. I know it's not perfect yet, but in 2 or 3 years, it's probably going to get developed a lot more. And it's a whole different conversation where all these
Absolutely.
other big companies that develop software for rendering are going to be, because what SketchUp is doing here is cutting the steps that a user has to take to create renders, and they don't have to go to V-Ray,
Yeah.
Lumion 5. They're going to have to spend as much time as possible in SketchUp and using their tools. This is where I think is going to be a bit of a problem for ArchViz artists, just because I predict that a lot more architecture firms are going to be able to have in-house um, people that produce the images. What do you think about this?
Land acquisition, you will always find someone who is able to do it themselves. And I mean, someone who is able, have the capacity, time, and technology to do it themselves, they won't need us. So I would say, like most companies, they have all the tools. Um, but like you will be somehow surprised to see how many people or how many companies they have all the tools. They have also the capacity, they have the staff, they have the architects, but they would like to outsource it to someone. So they give something, they input, and they wake up in the next day and they get an output. So they don't need to think about the process. There are some people who would like to do it on their own, for sure, but like you don't want to work with those people.
Uh-huh.
How much percentage of the industry they would like to do it themselves? I would say most architects. But what is obvious that architects are not going to have in the future is time and focus, because regulations are getting more complex. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think it's I mean, I would try it. I mean, my clients are trying it, they are finding it really successful. And I have one client, she has made a complete course for interior designers. So so I would say who will try it first is going to get
The
a lot of
fastest down.
interest.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely see what you mean with that. It's just that, what do you think is happening in terms of the demand and the supply and demand chain on ArchViz industry? Because I talk to architects all of the time, and they always complain how they cannot find a reliable and good 3D artists. And then on the other hand, I talk to 3D artists, and they always complain about how they cannot find any clients. Why do you think this happens?
Well, it's simple communication skills. Um, I would say, like, if we are talking about one industry, we are targeting which is architecture. So the architecture industry is not, um, I mean, in marketing terms, is not well advanced like in like business development, for example.
Yeah.
They still like to have the personal touch. They still like to have someone to call them. They still like to want like at least have a video call. And in our industry, we would like to avoid anything of that. We would like just to send email, and even in the emails that artists. I mean, I'm not going to generalize, okay, but like those are the cases that I have seen or I have heard or worked with. For example, an architect is going to really spend the time to write the brief. We will receive it, and all we need to say, what we are going to say is, okay, thank you, I'll work on it and get back to you. That's it. We don't have any follow-up question. Also, for example, our clients are really busy. They need to coordinate, design, talk to the client, do almost everything. So it is important to have somehow an understanding of the overhead on the side so we can work with them on the same side. So
Okay.
I would say communication skills is what is mostly missed in our industry. Communication, I mean verbal and trying to interact with others, like being interested in others is what is missing. We are too much invested in ourselves, in our quality. We're hyper realistic. Yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
It's a little bit tough, I would say.
Yeah, I get you. And what would you say is easier to land in general, an architecture client or real estate development client?
I would say real estate development because they are more open to talk.
I
They are more
100%,
business people. Yeah,
yes, I 100% agree with you in that one, because they're more business minded in that sense, and they can see the value of marketing in images. They immediately, from my experience, they immediately link the renders as an investment with the amount of money that they're going to gain from selling the property, which is a lot easier, I guess, to sell to them. But when talking to architects, a lot of the time they don't have a content strategy, they don't have a social media presence. They mainly do renders, from my experience, to satisfy their existing clients, and it's not so much to try and get new ones. And
that's
that's
true.
what I see. That's what I see is a struggle when I'm trying to talk to architects in general. But um, let me ask you something which I myself have been doing for a long time, and I see a lot of my audience asking me as well. Um, do you think that architects or clients in general really care what kind of software the 3D artists use?
They only care about one thing. What should I give you? What am I going to get from you? I mean, if I am going to give you, for example, if an architect is working in BIM area, so they will give you something called IFC. I mean, IFC file, or maybe, and you don't know what is IFC, it's going to be a struggle for them because they want to export from Revit to you, and you don't know the specifics about IFC or how to import it into your 3D scene.
Mhm.
This is a huge barrier, for example. Or, for example, you need to tell them, or if tell them, oh, sorry, I don't know the IFC, make it as a 3ds file.
Yeah,
And
that's
now the architect has a hard time figuring out how to make the IFC file into a 3ds. they might know. I am sure they will know, but like they will find out how to make it. But like you see, from the early beginning, it's yeah. I mean, it is important to specialize. You see, now we are heading into one topic, which is specialization. If you are working with specific type of architects, um, it is important to know their language, what they are saying, how they deal with their files, where they store, how they store it, how they organize their files, or their floors, for example.
Okay.
And doing this to them and being specialized to them, it will help you to grow and get clients faster, rather than talking to one time to a developer, one time an architect, one time interior designer, and each one of them is speaking different language.
Okay. I totally agree with you on that one. Let's tackle another topic, which is pricing. What would you
Pricing.
say? Yeah, what would you say in general? Is there any type or any rule of thumb that you use with your clients or when charging for 3D renders? How do you charge 3D renders? How much are architects willing to pay for 3D renders?
Cool. So pricing is emotional completely. There is no rule for that. I'm going to tell you from the end. What plays? I mean, a huge factor in pricing is the goal. Why I am using this 3D rendering. So, for example, if I am participating in a closed competition, so there are like public competitions and closed competitions. If I am participating in closed competition, it means I am going to present my work against 3 other studios or 5 other studios. I must have high quality renders, hyper realistic. Um, I don't want my image to be under the standard or under other studios or maybe companies level. If I am participating in a public competition where my name is not completely obvious in the first side, so maybe I don't need to worry. This is one side. So in the first example, I'm going to pay whatever it takes to present my company at a very high level. The same happens to interior designers. So, for example, if an interior designer is making a lobby for a hotel, like the lobby of the hotel is everything. So, this is a very important space. They will spend the time to design it and do every single detail, choose the chairs, the fabrics, and everything. So, it is important to pay high attention to the details, and therefore, they are ready to pay high amount of money for the renderings. If they are doing a living room, then it doesn't matter. Yeah, so that's mainly the same for property developer. For example, if they are pre-selling and they want some funds, they will pay high for the 3D renderings because they want to sell fast.
Everett?
If you are asking me for a price to start with, okay, it's very hard to say a price. It all depends on the quality, on the level of details, the complexity of the project. But there should be always a starting price. Okay. And if I am going to share with you the prices, the difference in prices between markets, it's really, I don't understand the reasons why. For example, in the UK, the average rendering is 700, 800. Okay, the experience who is like 15 years in the industry, they will go up to 1,500 pounds. In the US, you can start the price with 4,000, 3,500 US dollars. And you can offer it for 1,500 or 2,000. It happens. Like with more than 10 images, you get the price reduced. Australia as well, the same price for the US. Those 3 countries are 3 big target markets in our industry. But the difference in price is not really, I mean, it's not clear why we have this difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, and I have a bit of an idea why that might be happening. I'm pretty sure that there's a big correlation between how close the target market. This is how I kind of perceive it. I think there's a big correlation between how close the target market is to third world countries' talent. So, in my opinion, in the UK, there's a lot more people that come in from the East to live there. And there's a lot of people that have that skill. And most of the time, 1500 for an image for someone who's from a third world country. And don't get me wrong, even Kosovo, the country where I live in, is usually considered a third world country.
Yeah,
So I'm not saying that to underestimate or anything like that. That's a lot
yeah,
of money. Yeah, that's a lot of money, and it's a very good price for some people. However, in the US, maybe they don't have that much of an access to that target of outsourcing. This is what comes to the top of my mind. I might be completely wrong here. However, what do you think? Let's not get to like the top level studios. Let's say, what does the average, what we say the average ArchViz studio with 5 employees does in terms of revenue per year? Because a lot of people, I think, at least from my audience, a lot of people underestimate the revenue that ArchViz studios can have and the potential that it has in terms of the financial gains.
I really, literally don't know the typical revenue of 5 employees
Well,
studio.
if you had to take a guess, I'm basically like, if you think of a typical ArchViz studio, what would you say would be their revenue?
Yeah, if I'm talking about 5, I mean, I am the founder and I have 4 artists somehow. Yeah, so if I
Yeah.
am paying, for example, 200K for I would say 250K for the employees, I should be making 1 million.
Yeah.
Because you already have your salary again. I mean, you will, if the employees are getting to 150K, you should be having like 100 for yourself because you are managing everything, responsibility, plus the business costs. So you should have at least 50% profit somehow. So otherwise, you won't be able to grow. You will keep fighting and you will stay in. There is a mindset. I hate to be in that mindset. And I also try to get all my clients out of it, which is get money now. Like if you live in this mindset, get money now, you won't be able to like innovate or at least upgrade your software, upgrade your hardware. So I would say profit first. It's very important. Yeah. Like lately, I have shared on LinkedIn a post about a 500K studio. Okay, what do you need to make it? So somehow, like a 500K more than 2 employees you don't need. You see, 2 employees plus you are responsible for all the operation, client communication, and thinking about the business. Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, I totally get it. And because as I said, a lot of people think that ArchViz is just a fast gig. The typical ArchViz prices are not what most people see on Fiverr, and we just have to make that clear because serious studios, serious studios out there that really take this as their main job, it's not too out of this world, I would say, to make 500,000 a year. And those are studios probably that operate. Would you say it took them more than 5 years to do that?
Like for 500K, I would say you don't need you don't need 5 years, but like you need maybe 2 years with proper guidance. So I don't want to appear like I'm selling my service or anything like that, but like if you are running everything on your own and you love what you are doing, you will be somehow you will be distracted with the making of the artists. You are going to be somehow an employee inside the business, and you will be always looking for new ways how to improve your work. And this takes time, effort, energy. Your sleep are going to be reduced because you are thinking about everything. And you will forget the business side. You will forget the profit. Like a simple income and loss report, you will forget making it. And I mean, in countries where taxes are not really relevant, sometimes in 2 years you won't really recognize it. But like, for example, if you are talking about any place in Europe or US, I mean, any place where taxes is a huge thing you need to think about. I mean, every year you will see, this is what I'm paying, this is what I have got, and this is my profit. Oh, sorry, my profit is zero, or maybe I am at minus. So, unfortunately, in our industry also, what I have recognized, like people like this edge situation. You see, edge situation, like somehow I don't have work. I don't have work the second month. I don't have work the third month. I am getting some work, but like it is still not paying what I should get paid for. And they don't like to get some trainings. I'm not saying that um, that I mean, I don't know, maybe the awareness about the business side is not that much. But like I can tell you, 2019, 2021, I talked with many artists. By the end of 2000, I don't know, like between 2021 to 2022, I just counted the Zoom meeting I have made with artists. They were 200. And I mean, I would say 25% of them, they found another job. Some closed, changed the industry. They went to coding industry, different industries. And some of them, they are still um, on the level, just trying to survive. Some of them, they have thrived. I would say that, like, for example, people think about, let's take example my service, business development. They see it as something they would like to do when they have time. But like when you have time, it means you don't have work. You see? So when things go wrong, they think about it. Where like it is best when things are going well, then you can jump. I mean, you don't really improve just, I mean, you can jump. That's only the issue. But like, I don't know how we can make it in this industry to like bring more awareness about, hey, look, those are signs. You need to be careful. If there is 1 month you don't have work, it means, I mean, it doesn't mean that next month you are going to have work. I mean, this industry takes time until you develop anything.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, and I think a lot of people need to take care of this stuff a lot more seriously. One of the biggest mindset shifts for me was about 2 years ago. Like before, I used to think that I wanted to be the best ArchViz artist, and if I have the best ArchViz images, then I'm gonna have the best clients, and I'm gonna make the most money, and I'm gonna have the most successful business, this and that. But after some time, I realized that I'm not sure if you're aware of the game Hot Potato, where you have to get something and pass it as fast as possible to someone else if it comes into your hand. So that's how I see work and orders. So as soon as something comes to me, I like to get it and pass it out to someone else as fast as possible, while I keep an amount of profit which looks fine to me, and then I spend more time in getting more and more potatoes to pass down to other people. And I think the moment that I realized that in order to make a service business very profitable, it's a lot easier to focus on getting clients, which is a revenue-driven activity, rather than doing the work itself, which most of the time is a never-ending cycle where you get one client, you do the work, then you're on the hunt for a new client. I think that breaks that cycle because 100% of your time you're just focusing on getting more and more clients. So that was
Absolutely
kind of
true.
my biggest mindset shift, and I'm sure there's many other mindset shifts that I'm gonna find in the future that are gonna help me to increase my revenue even more. But this is one of them that I see a lot of people struggle with. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I would like to add one thing about I saw. I mean, that was the first touch between you and me. I saw your course about 14 days to learn how to make renderings. If you
Mm-hmm.
remember, someone in my network, they liked your video and I saw it. I said, so like in the beginning, you see some title and you see, wow, that's really that could not happen. Then I went to your landing page and I saw your business model. I mean, what you are proposing, and I said, you know what? That's really the reality. I mean, you don't need to always make hyper realistic images. I mean, I just calculated how much does it cost um, to use your software without having to think about the graphic card. That was amazing, like almost 1,550 euros at that time. If we can, I mean, just imagine that your only cost for 1 year for the Photoshop, the SketchUp, and the
Thanks.
landscape. It was 1,550 per year. You can get it in one image. If you like, okay, make it two images. I mean, if you would like to reduce the price. And I
100%.
said, and we have the ArchViz Business Club, and we meet every week on Thursday. And I asked them, what do you think about quality, making hyper realistic images, all of that? And two of the artists there, they said, you know what? When we make the initial rendering, we send it to the client. It is like somehow cartoonish. It has nothing to do with realistic rendering. And the client confirmed it. Yes, let's move forward. And the artist is going to spend maybe, I don't know how many days just to make it realistic. And they send it back. And the client is going to say, you know what? I like the first one more. See?
Mm-hmm.
So clients don't really need that hyper realistic images in most cases, you see, especially if you are talking to, I mean, quick housing projects or maybe small developers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the business model you are proposing is really
Yeah.
great. I mean, I would say, I mean, just thinking about how much should I pay on software, and I forgot everything about the hardware as well.
Yeah. And you
Compared
don't.
to other software, yeah,
Yeah, I think the whole concept of Enscape when they started it was that if a computer can run Revit or SketchUp, it should be able to run Enscape.
absolutely.
And they've kept it that way for the longest time now, and that's the reason why they don't include animated objects like animated people and animated cars, because that would make the software too heavy. However, the way that I position the offer on my course and the way that I position my services is based on two principles that I take all my actions in business and in everyday life, which is speed and volume. Uh, it's it's not an argument that Enscape is the fastest software out there. Like, you can measure it, so there's no arguing in that, right? And on top of that, if you're able to produce images faster, you're going to be able to produce more images in 1 week than someone who is going to be able to produce images with 3ds Max and Corona, for example. The quality of 3ds Max and Corona, that is a completely different aspect, which we can all agree on that overall, even scientifically or coding proven, the light bounces are a lot more accurate, this and that. However, if you calculate, or what I would guess the overall difference in quality, maybe it's 20 to 30%. And what kind of clients you're going to need that extra quality is probably going to be luxury real estate developers and something else like that. And in my opinion, I'm not interested in getting maybe 20 to 30% more revenue for something that would take double the amount of time. So this is my thought process behind it.
Amazing. I mean, you said one golden thing, which is my focus is speed and revenue, speed and quantity. Okay. Some people would like to make it quality and stay slow. Yeah, it's okay. It's their choice. But like, I would say that having a balance between making the job and growing it is important. I mean, we cannot spend all day just developing an image. That's something I didn't like about ArchViz when I was doing it.
Of course. And the other thing I would definitely agree with you is one competitive advantage that I always have with the software I use is that I'm able to deliver work a lot faster to clients. A lot of people forget that architects need the renders not only for the final images, but they also need renders uh, as ongoing work. And there's no better option out there than Enscape for that because it's just so quick. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that's the advantage of the offer and the way that I position the course. A lot of people seem to not get it. It seems too extraordinary to learn realistic rendering in just 14 days. But I think we have enough proven results to kind of prove that. But yeah,
Anyone who is using 3D Max and Corona, they can still use it, but like they can have like an entry level ticket. Entry level offer for these kind of renderings, so that they get more clients. I don't know. Um, yeah, that's the industry. It is not an easy industry to convince, I would say.
yeah, 100%. I definitely agree with you on that one. But Um, I think it's still very underrated, and it's a gold mine as of now. Not as many people are using it, especially with real estate clients. So yeah, well, thank you very much for being on the podcast, Anis, and I really appreciate your
Amazing.
input. I think a lot of people can benefit from a lot of the posts you do on LinkedIn. So I'm going to leave your LinkedIn in the link down below this video. Everyone, make sure to check out the post. There's a lot of tips for the architecture visualization business in there, and we're probably going to look forward to doing some more collaborations in the future.
Thank you very much for having me, for your time, and it's my pleasure to meet you now and in the future. Great time, great discussion.
Awesome.